Mei Lin used to joke that she was the only person in Singapore who slept better among foliage than air conditioning vents. Each dawn found her on the 22nd floor of Tiong Bahru Heights, greeting rows of clay tubs as though they were old friends. She knew every plant's temperament. The pizzicato lift of laksa leaf, the glossy confidence of Thai basil, the shy droop of Vietnamese mint, that always revived after a scolding. That was why, when a fist-sized patch went missing from her coriander bed one Tuesday morning, she noticed at once. The stems weren't snapped or chewed, just completely gone, as if carefully harvested by invisible hands. She considered the usual suspects. Neighbors, the auntie downstairs who insisted fresh sample needed free herbs, but the cut was too clean. The soil left smooth instead of clumsily raked. It happened again on Wednesday and Thursday, each time from a different pot. Kaffir lime leaves stripped, holy basil pruned to stubble. By Friday, Mei Lin's irritation had crystallized into curiosity. She set a cheap motion sensor webcam among the marigolds, primed a notification on her phone and went downstairs for kopi. At 2:13 a.m. her phone vibrated. She thumbed the alert groggily and squinted at a grainy feed. Darkness, a hint of starless sky, and a faint smear of movement near the lemongrass. Then the camera crashed into static. When the picture returned, the lemongrass was cropped like a bad haircut. "Skynet in Tiong Bahru," she typed sarcastically to her best friend Aisha, who replied with 3 laughing emojis and a gif of Arnold Schwarzenegger. But Mei Lin's sense of violation was real. That rooftop wasn't just a hobby, it was her refuge. The following night, she armed herself with a small thermos of kopio, a collapsible stool, a torch taped red for night vision and patience. She crouched behind the water tank, staring across the moon-washed planters. Somewhere below, traffic droned like a distant hive. After midnight, the wind shifted and, with it, a mechanical buzz, distinct from the ambient hum of aircon compressors. A dark shape glided over the parapet, sleek, 4-roted, no bigger than a hawk. It hovered above the mint, descending with insect delicacy. From its belly unfolded a telescopic arm tipped with scissors. Snip, snip, snip. Precise, deliberate, almost respectful. Mei Lin's mouth fell open. She expected a smash-and-grab quadcopter, not this surgical burglar. Before she could unfreeze, the drone zipped upward and slid into the night. She lunged forward, too late, catching only the downdraft perfumed by stolen mint. The next day, she trawled carousel listings and telegram groups, discovering that aerial farming gadgets, though rarer than racing drones, did exist. But why risk fines and jail to pilfer herbs retailing at no more than $2 a bunch? She wanted data, not theories. On Saturday, she bought an LED micro-tracker meant for cat collars, pressed its adhesive patch around a stem of laksa leaf, and dusted the surface with pollen-bright fluorescent powder. If the drone struck again, either the tracker would ride along or the powder would cling to its chassis. At 1:54 a.m., the rooftop hummed with that same insect tenor. Mei Lin's heartbeat synced to the rhythm of rotors. This time she'd stationed her own consumer drone, affectionately nicknamed R-Boy, by the stairwell. When the thief clipped the rigged stem, Mei Lin thumbed her remote, and R-Boy lunged off the concrete like a loyal terrier. What followed was an improbable chase across the Singapore sky. The rogue drone banked eastward, skimming rooftops, darting between laundry poles. R-Boy labored behind, its camera feed shaky but determined. Mei Lin, crouching beside the stairwell door, steered blind except for the pinhole view on her phone. Twice she almost slammed her controller into the railing, cursing softly so as not to wake sleeping neighbors. They cleared the low HDB blocks, crossed a stretch of park connector, and veered toward an industrial estate near McPherson. There the thief descended onto the roof of a nondescript warehouse whose company sign, Argus Inaggregated Solutions, was half lit, half shattered. The boy circled until its battery warning screeched. Mei Lin guided it to an emergency perch on a neighboring roof before sprinting for the lift. She didn't infiltrate spy movie style. It was 3 a.m. and the building lobbies were locked. But she noted the address, the CCTV angles, and one more thing. A faint greenish dusting on the parapet where the drone had landed. Fluorescent powder. She grinned. Adrenaline overriding fatigue. Evidence. Morning brought Monday's obligations. Mei Lin taught environmental science at a junior college, and her first period students found her unusually caffeinated, hair still threaded with wind. During staff room break, she examined the Catracker app. The signal was stationary, still inside that warehouse. She considered calling the police, but what law had been broken? Petty theft of herbs? Airspace violation? The authorities might laugh. On Tuesday, Singapore's financial district woke to a spectacle that trended before sunrise. Office workers arriving at Raffles Place looked up to find clouds of coloured paper drifting between towers. Not recycled flyers, but meticulously folded origami. Cranes, fish, blooming orchids. They spiraled like confetti, catching morning light, landing on sidewalks, escalators, polished marble lobbies. By 9, there were photos on every social feed, hashtags proliferating, crane drop, sky art SG. But one question deadened the giddy excitement. Why were the folds printed with strings of apparently random letters and numbers? Bank tellers passed cranes to compliance officers, who passed them to cybersecurity teams, who passed them to mass regulators. Speculation swung from guerrilla marketing stunt to insider threat. Aisha, who worked at a fintech startup in Gorko Tower, texted Mei Lin a snapshot. A lavender fish with T1M9AB4S1L stenciled inside a fin. Looks like coupon code for Laxa, she joked. Mei Lin's pulse spiked. She recognized the pattern instantly. T1M equals Tim Tai for basil. 9A equals B9 equals vitamin? No, B4S1L basil with numbers swapped. Another image showed L3M0N9R455 on a violet orchid. Lemongrass. She rang Aisha. Keep any origami you find. Don't let security trash it. What's going on? I think the cranes came from my herbs. After classes, Mei Lin biked to the industrial estate under the cloak of dusk. She wore charcoal jeans, a ball cap, and carried a messenger bag stuffed with gloves, duct tape, and her phone set to silent. The warehouse shutters were rolled halfway. Light pulsed behind frosted panel. Beside the door, a ventilation shaft was missing its screen. She exhaled, muttered an apology to every rule she'd ever obeyed, and wriggled in. She emerged onto an elevated catwalk overlooking a space part laboratory, part studio. Below, 4 long tables formed an X. 1 bore hydroponic trays glowing neon pink under LED strips, supporting frail seedlings that look suspiciously like her stolen herb cuttings coaxed into accelerated growth. Another was littered with colored origami sheets, sorted by hue and grain. The third table bristled with laptop screens, cables, and a laser printer rigged to spit thin paper squares. The fourth, closest to her perch, hosted a half-dismantled drone whose carbon fiber arms were dusted, with fluorescent powder. Beside it stood a man in his 40s, lean as bamboo, soldering something without noticing her from speakers mounted on the wall. A voice spoke Mandarin instructions in a flat synthetic register. It rattled off numbers, pausing for the man to fold a corner or crease an edge. Mei Lin inched along the railing, phone camera rolling. The man finished a crane, slipped a slip of herb mint by the scent into a hidden pocket beneath a wing, then placed the crane in a stack. A girlish voice behind her said, "You shouldn't be here, you know." Mei Lin whirled. A teenager, hair in a tight bun, sat cross-legged atop an old server rack as casually as if it were a playground. She wore augmented reality spectacles whose lenses cascaded green glyphs. "Neither should your drones be in my garden," Mei Lin hissed. The teenager grinned. Oh, you were the gardener. Uncle Kai said you were meticulous. She slid off the rack and waved at the man below. Ju! Visitor! The man looked up, startled, first at Mei Lin, then the teen. His features relaxed into resignation. I told you triple-check the perimeter. No. He laid the soldering iron aside. To Mei Lin he called, Calm down, no point hiding. Mei Lin descended metal steps, adrenaline sparking each tread. She rehearsed denunciations about theft and trespass, but confrontation fizzled under the warehouse's surreal calm. I'm Kai, the man said, wiping hands on a rag. This is my niece, Anu. We didn't expect company. Or a security breach, Anu chimed, pushing up her spectacles. Our surveillance net flagged you 3 minutes ago, but I wanted to see what you'd do. Pretty brave. I'm just here for my herbs, Mei Lin declared, though now her eyes roamed the contraptions in reluctant fascination. And to find out why the CBD got showered in coded origami, Kai exhaled, gesturing for her to sit on an upturned crate. Short answer. We're whistleblowers. The origami is encrypted evidence. Your herbs are a security feature. Herbs, Mei Lin repeated. Security feature. Anu tapped her phone, projecting a diagram onto a white board. A stylized bee made of circuit traces overlaid on a map of downtown Singapore. We uncovered a back door in a payment verification algorithm used by 8 major banks. A certain corporation has been siphoning microtransactions in fractions of a cent, enough to stay undetected, but worth millions each quarter. Kai picked up. We gathered logs, packet captures, everything needed to prove the fraud. But distributing raw data is risky. Digital channels can be blocked or discredited. So we encoded the data physically. He handed Mei Lin a crimson crane, unfurling one wing to reveal a dense matrix of letters. Every fold is an offset. Together they reconstruct the dataset. Mei Lin blinked. But why herbs? Paper memory decays, Anu said. Acidic ink fades in humidity. We treat each origami with essential oils, natural preservatives. Your garden has diverse terpenes we needed. She sniffed an origami orchid appreciatively. Kaffir lime oil deters silverfish better than naphthalene, and lemongrass masks human scent when drones fly low. Could have asked instead of stealing, Mei Lin muttered, running a thumb over the crane. The paper was soft, scented faintly like Swoon-Huat spice aisles. Kai's shoulders dipped. Fair, but direct contact would have exposed you. We operate in a legal grey zone. More like UV bite illegal, Anu quipped. Mei Lin crossed her arms. You compromise my garden and my sleep. How are honest people supposed to verify your claims? For all I know, you're scammer staging performance art. Kai walked to the server rack, pulled up code on a monitor, and showed transaction logs scrolling like a slot machine. Each entry here matches an encoded origami. Anyone with 2 cranes can verify checksum pairs, gather enough cranes, reconstruct the ledger. Already financial bloggers are crowdsourcing them. By tonight, consensus will be irrefutable. Anu added. The drop location, raffles, place, ensures hundreds of data custodians. Witness chain of custody. Mei Lin felt a reluctant admiration. Guerrilla distribution via street collectors was ingenious, reminiscent of blockchain's decentralization but tangibly beautiful. Yet irritation flared anew. You still owe me plants. Absolutely, Kai said. We'll propagate replacements, faster than store-bought cuttings. Fair? Maybe, Mei Lin sighed. She inspected a hydroponic tray where miniature basil leaves trembled under pink LEDs. They looked healthy, almost proud. One more thing. Why a warehouse called Argus? Kai smiled wistfully. Argus Panops is the all-seeing giant from myth, opposite of corporations that hide theft in plain sight. Footsteps crunched outside. A masculine shout echoed. Police! Open up! Red-blue flashes sprayed the frosted panels. Anu's eyes widened. Too soon drop was only 12 hours ago. Kai jerked his head toward a side door. Evac Plan C. Mei Lin, you're coming. She hesitated, heart ricocheting. She could slip out the ventilation shafts and let fate punish these edge runners, or she could see the story through. She glanced at the crimson crane still in her hand, smelling of basil and rebellion. "Let's go," she said. They plunged into a narrow corridor lit by emergency tape. At the end, a ladder led to the roof where 3 drones awaited sleek black payload claws folded. Mei Lin's boy, retrieved earlier, sat freshly charged beside them. Kai passed her a shoulder bag. "Crane's inside. Delivered to Honglim Park. There's a speaker's corner talk at 9. Public dissemination will trigger statutory whistleblower protections." "I'm a teacher, not a courier." "You're also a citizen who cares about truth," Anu said gently. "Plus, your tracking powder makes you part of the chain already." Below, metal doors clanged. Voices converged. Mei Lin swallowed. "Fine, but you replant every stem you stole ×3. Deal," Kai and Anu chorused. The flight eastward traced a glittering river of traffic. Skyline lights shimmered on Marina Bay like coins spilled across velvet. Mei Lin clutched the crane bag and watched the cityscape tilt under rotor gusts. Beside her, Kai guided the lead drone via wrist controls, wind riffling his shirt sleeves. Anu monitored air traffic channels on her spectacles, rerouting around an incoming news helicopter. They landed on the rooftop of a car park near Chinatown at 7:45 p.m. From there they descended pedestrian ramps into swelling evening crowds. A community theatre troupe was rehearsing, their portable speakers masking footsteps. Mei Lin peeled off toward Honglim Park, pulse drumming the bag straps against her ribs. Speaker's corner buzzed with activists, joggers, curious office workers clutching after-work bubble tea. At exactly 9, Kai stepped onto a makeshift stage, phone plugged into a portable projector. He introduced himself, not as some anarchist hacker, but as a systems auditor, formally contracted by the implicated corporation. He clicked a button. The screen filled with a QR code. Volunteers circulated through the audience, distributing origami from Mei Lin's bag and a larger stash Anu pulled from her sling. Kai explained how to unfold, pair, and verify cranes. People knelt on grass scanning codes, murmuring. Live streamers captured the moment. Hashtags mutated into Origami Ledger and Herb Truth. Mei Lin stood at the fringe, arms folded, breath catching when strangers inhaled the scents of kaffir, lime, and mint. The air smelled like her rooftop on harvest mornings. Police vans parked discreetly outside the park, but hesitated to intervene. This was, after all, the only legal protest space in Singapore, and there was no immediate violence to suppress. Within 30 minutes, tech reporters were tweeting checksum matches confirming penny siphoning patterns. A prominent economics blogger posted a thread titled "The Origami Indictment" that amassed 20,000 retweets in an hour. Aisha arrived, eyes ablaze. "Girlie, you're trending with herbs." She hugged Mei Lin fiercely, then filmed a clip of them with cranes fluttering overhead like soft fireworks. By midnight, Mass announced a preliminary inquiry into irregular microtransactions. The corporation's stock price dipped 4% before the Japan market even opened. Kai, giving yet another on-camera statement, gestured to Mei Lin. Without her garden, this evidence might have stayed buried. Cameras pivoted. Mei Lin ducked shyly but managed a small wave. She realized the smell clinging to her clothes. Lemongrass, lime, basil was now the fragrance of accountability. 3 weeks later, her rooftop burst with new plantings arranged in recycled hydroponic pods, courtesy of Kai and Anu. They had secured conditional immunity in exchange for testimony, aided by public support. Some cranes ended up in the National Gallery's contemporary wing under an exhibit titled Paper Witness. One rested on Mei Lin's bookshelf, crimson wings still scented. On evenings cooled by monsoon breezes, she sometimes caught a familiar whir overhead. This time, though, drones didn't land to steal. They hovered respectfully, releasing tiny biodegradable seed pods that drifted into her planters like dandelion wishes. She would shake her head, smiling, then kneel to press new seeds into soil. wondering what improbable bloom might grow from the night. The sky itself folded secrets into paper and herbs.